Hello there, and welcome to the third episode of The Wolf and the Raven. I'm Darth Sibius, and with me as always, my wolfy friend, Blood of Azheim. Ian, how you doing, mate?
Greetings, I'm doing rather well, thank you, yes.
We're doing okay. Had a few technical issues trying to get this done.
A few.
Made a few cherubims and servitors of people that have made us angry, and now we're going to do this. So we are talking about Cypher, the fallen angel, the scourge of the Dark Angels, or possibly friend of the Dark Angels, something we can get into in a bit. We'll also be talking about the audio drama Malediction by CZ Dunn. They all say CZ Dunn, but Black Library is also British, so surely it's CZ Dunn.
Yeah.
Probably up to him, I suppose.
Yeah.
CZ Dunn.
CZ Dunn does sound better than CZ Dunn.
This is very true. Getting to the important debate. How to pronounce things. Good. So, I know not whether Cypher is the greatest threat or the greatest hope for the Imperium. I only pray we can stop him before we find out. Inquisitor Basilisk Grim, sorry. Good. That sums up the Imperium. Sums
up Cypher and the Imperium very well.
He is a mystery wrapped in enigma, robed in a Cypher.
With two pistols.
Gunslinging and doing his thing. Speaking of enigmas, there's even a little cubbyhole down in the rock, a special little reading nook for special librarians to go and read everything they have on Cypher.
Hell.
Which will be fun, as judging by the information online and in the data slate, which is reams of unnecessary information, probably chronicling the entire history of the Dark Angels.
Put nothing about Cypher.
Yeah. So you do need to know a little bit about Cypher. You do, but you're also the Dark Angels. So you need to know that before they were the Dark Angels, they were the Order. When they were on Caliban, knightly people, and Cypher was essentially a maester, chaplain, it's a title to keeping hold of the traditions and the histories and the important things. Yes. And so there have been many different Cyphers in the past, and around the time of the Great Crusade and the Horus Heresy, there was a new young Cypher, always very mysterious character even those days, with the cowl and not really knowing who he was. There's members of the inner circle of the Dark Angels now who believe that he may have even been an infiltrator from the Knights of Lupus, who are naughty people that the Order didn't like back on Caliban. So when the Great Crusade, the Horus Heresy was going on, there was obviously the split with Luther on one side and the Lion on the other side.
Yes.
And Cypher found himself on Luther's side with the Fallen, and the Rock went crack. Caliban went crack, and then they went to the Rock.
The Rock came up with crack, the entire fucking planet went crack to make the...
Yeah, that's the one.
The Lion was not amused.
The Lion was not happy because Cypher was on the wrong side. And since then, he has popped up all over the place, and many different things, lots of different accounts of what he's been up to and what he's been doing. So we'll get into that in a minute, but we'll talk about the things, his sort of equipment and the kind of things that he comes with to start off with. And we're not really getting into rules and stuff, we're just sort of mainly, this is a bit of a fluff and chat discussion type thing. So he's got his, presumably mastercrafted, it's a special bolt pistol.
Yeah, it's going to either be mastercrafted or made that long ago that it's counted as mastercrafted now, it's made that well.
Yeah, not just a stump, there you go, that sort of works. And he also has his trusty plasma pistol, which I don't even believe gets hot, so it's a very special plasma pistol. Indeed, and he runs around firing those. As you do. I think the new rules, he does actually have two shots, because he's that much of a pow-pow gunslinger. Yes, pow-pow is the sound that stuff.
That's the sound he actually shouts as he runs into battle.
So no one can take him seriously, they're not sure if he's actually being bad or not. That's it, he goes pow-pow when he sees Dark Angels, but when he actually sees bad guys, he actually shoots. Possibly.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And he also has the mysterious sword on his back that is never drawn. Never in history has he ever been seen to draw it. And the rules do go even say that he can't draw it, so you don't count it. Now, there's great debate what these could be. Do you want to say some of the thoughts and ideas that are out there?
Some theories are it's the Lion sword, some are it's Luther's sword. Usually has to be a broken sword in these cases, because that's why he never uses it. one of the beliefs is that it's actually the Lion Sword, and he's taking it to the Emperor to plead for forgiveness.
And try and get fixed in some way.
Yeah, to be. I think only the Emperor can reforge it, is one of the old myths as well. But again, it's one of these things with Cypher and the Dark Angels, no one really knows for sure, and no one really knows where they found these, you know, if they just searched Lexicanum one day and found these myths, or if they've just been made up over the years.
Well, this is the beautiful organic way that 40k lore just goes. It should also be made from the meteorite of the sword that the moon swords are made of. So presumably after the Dark Angels were making their swords, Cypher snuck in, got himself a little meteorite. Yes, so that's we're going to get in debates whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, or he's everything in between. But I'd like to think that it is the Lion Sword, the prime marker, the Dark Angel's broken sword being taken to Terra on an endless quest to try and give it to the Emperor, or shove it in his face, whichever kind of mood he's in on the day.
Yeah. What do we call that? Aggressive presentation of the sword?
Aggressive presentation. It will still get to Terra, and it will still be presented to the Emperor in some way, or shape, or form. So he has also been seen, interesting, he had a bit of a dust-up with some Catan or Citan, however we're pronouncing that, everyone likes to argue.
Yes.
He had a phase. Is it phase blade, phase knife?
Phase blade, phase knife, yeah.
Similar to the assassin ones, they have some very similar thing, which he lost during the battle, but due to the weird nature of phase weapons, apparently every now and then it does just appear on his belt, which is kind of cool. I'd like phase car keys.
No, that would be really unhelpful.
But every now and then it'd be really helpful.
Sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
It makes you also wonder if, you know, maybe it's not the nature of the Citan phase blades that's making it appear and disappear, or more the nature of the way Cypher's travelling. If he's going through the warp, maybe it's a past version of Cypher routine.
I like that. That's awesome. So, but whatever he has around his waist, he does have the swords, and he has the robe, and he often appears on his own, or with heretics, or with fallen angels, or with Imperial Guard. The rules now say Inquisitor, Sisters of Battle, Space Marines, anyone that isn't Dark Angels, essentially. If you're not Xenos and you're not Dark Angels, Chaos Space Marines, they're fine.
Chaos Space Marines even go, we don't know what side you're on.
Yeah.
Good.
Exactly. Roll a dice. Oh, maybe you can't take Cypher this turn. He's a bad man. But yeah, he always has the distinctive robes that sort of mark him out, with the black armour, which is now tinged with sight green, so it makes it easier for people to know that he's a sort of Dark Angel.
He's a pre-heresy Dark Angel.
Yeah, pre-heresy Dark Angel. But with a bit of greens, you know he's also still around.
Yeah, but he's also still a Dark Angel.
Yeah.
Sort of.
So the one sort of distinctive thing that's changed in the way he's been painted on the Games Workshop site from the back in the day, he now has 10 millennia shadow. He has a nice little bit of stubble going on. Kind of looks like a bit like an 80s kind of, yeah.
A member of Motley Crue or Poison, perhaps?
Kind of does. So we've got the model there on the left, and that's a conversion by Cypher Blue on the right there. There's a nice little kind of raven wings coming off his shoulders, emphasising the fallen angel aspect. There's also got some pictures of him here looking pretty funky cool. Obviously, being with the two guns, you've got to pull the guns across the chest, looking cool every now and then, and then
you just have to
all the way extended, looking cool.
Really all you can do with two guns.
And you cannot help but look cool with a plasma pistol and a bolt pistol. It's
Really?
just kind of awesome. So, he's also got a bunch of aliases. Voice of the Emperor. He's a member of the Council of Nova Terra, trying to help them secede.
Which is always a good idea.
Yep.
You've seen that works well.
So he is just a mysterious chap.
Yes.
He seems to be testing the Dark Angels at times. Some of the Masters do think he might be testing them. Sometimes he leads them to the Fallen to be captured and taken back. But sometimes he leads the Fallen away and helps them escape. It's all...
Which kind of adds more depth to the idea of fallen angels as well. Some of them could very well still be loyal. The ones he's trying to get away from Dark Angels are still loyal ones. those who he's letting slip into the clutches are maybe the ones that have fallen off the path.
Exactly, because we always see the warlord or the like essentially straight up Chaos Space Marine fallen in many sort of different stories and ways where they're presented.
Or the ones that have just went, well, I'm a demigod and this is a planet ruled by mortals. Yeah, I'm going to be fine.
Exactly.
I'll go over this land with an iron fist.
But they sort of have the is it Soul Drinkers and the Alpha Legion? They have that kind of, they're not official, but there could be some of them still working. And there were rumours of Cypher even working with the Alpha Legion at one point. So maybe it was a group of Alpha Legion that were like-minded thinkers.
Very possibly. I mean, it's the same thing with the Alpha Legion, I suppose. Some of them fell off the wagon, some haven't.
Yeah.
But we won't know anyway because everyone's Alpharius.
This is true. Everyone is Alpharius. Just a little sip, all good. But yeah, but he has definitely. See, the more I was reading, I was like, he sounds like a good guy. He's saving people. When there's a war, mercenaries trying to take over a planet from the Imperium, he actually helped fight back against them. Mm-hmm. He's taken out orcs. He's done all sorts of stuff. But he also did Sons of the Lion. Lots of Terminators were blown to bits by his shootiness.
Yes.
So he does do bad. What do you think? We were debating this earlier. I know it's basic mystery, but in your head canon.
My overly optimistic view of the grimdark future makes me really hope that he's a loyal Space Marine still. Although maybe not using the same protocols he would have at one point to get from A to B and to fulfill his objectives, he's still loyal in his own way.
See, this is what I like as well. And even if the heretic is at the heart, I'd love to have him a bunch of fallen that are all evil fighting against Sarah's Dark Angels. That'd be a lot of fun. But I just like the idea that it's the Lion Sword and he is trying to be good. He's trying to take that and he's desperately trying to. And it's basically every time he tries to get in the lift, he presses the button for the ground floor, and Tzitch runs in and presses all the other buttons, and he gets shot around the universe, basically. Speaking of Tzitch, I have a conspiracy theory earlier that he could even be a pawn of Tzitch unknowingly, because he helps and hinders. He's keeping the things balanced.
And as I said, if you want someone to maintain balance, it's a badass with two pistols.
Yeah.
The Neo of the 41st millennium for the universe.
Rumour has it that Cypher can act.
Well, that's the difference from Keanu Reeves, I suppose, then.
But yeah, so he's just an interesting chap, and the more I read about him, they kind of give me geek bumps because I like the idea of him being a good guy. But
he's part of the, like I said earlier to you before they started shooting the show. He's one of the old school parts of Games Workshop where they'll let you decide a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Is he a heretic? Is he a traitor? Is he just stuck and has to live with what's happened? Is he still loyal and trying to fight the good fight where he is? We'll never really know. And I hope we keep it that way, to be honest.
Well, exactly. There's not an answer. We can say what we like in our heads and what we'd like it to be, but
it was very much the same thing with the Dark Angels. Keeping the secret as to their loyalty a while ago, one of the books, I don't think it's even canon anymore, stated that the Dark Angels that are now in the Rock were the ones that sided with Luther. And the Fallen are the actual loyal Dark Angels. But that's old canon. You know, it's one of these things where that's... the way they used to do it was you have to decide whether Lionel Johnson was a good guy or not, and that was the big thing about him.
Because Horus Heresy, I know I'm a little bit behind. The last few things I was reading, he was not seeming like a good guy.
I will not spoil anything. I have heard some things, murmurings from the warp.
Okay, yeah. Well, I desperately need to catch up with Heresy.
So yeah, it's all right. I'm just starting to read the Descent of Angels now. So
yeah.
I'm going to have to catch up with Dark Angel lore as well. It's been so long, I've just put off reading that for so long because I was such a huge fan of them when I was younger.
This is the weird thing about this. It's always still one view, isn't it? It's one telling. That's everything with Black Library and 40k is open to interpretation. But I like the idea of you having to choose. That's cool.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the in the Space Marines Codex. I've got the old one, a couple of early 2000s one, It just gave you the Primarch names, the ones that were scratched out, and then ways to make your own chapter, and you could just as easily say, right, it's one of those missing Primarchs, which is the original reason behind those missing Primarchs. To just make your own story out of them.
Proper reason. Like they hint to there being scoured and some dodgy stuff happening, but like there was that April Fool's which made me swear a lot when they pretended Dan Abnett was writing a book about it, but they're never going to go into that.
Nah, they're never gonna.
Because that's where everyone's fun made up stuff comes from.
And I've seen some brilliant things about those Primarchs.
Yeah. So there was and it's only the inner circle. It's only the elites of the Dark Angels that actually even know anything about Cypher. So, because things like we were discussing this earlier, obviously people on Terra and people in the Imperium will know a little bit about the Horus Heresy. They're going to know crazy amounts, but no one's going to know anything about Cypher. So if Cypher says,
I don't know if people even on Terra would know what happened during the Heresy until it got to their doorstep. Really.
Yeah.
They would hear news, and that was it.
Well, as soon as the what are they called? The sculptors and painters and or the remembrances. As soon as the remembrances were sent back, there would be no news.
Yeah, there was no connection at all with the Greater Heresy, the Greater Crusade, really at all. All the goings on in the universe were shut out.
So you're a last remaining Space Marine of another chapter. That seems unlikely. Let's not use that as an example. You're an Imperial Guardsman, and things are going awfully, and a Dark Angel appears out of nowhere and helps you. You're going to be fairly chuffed about it, and you're not going to expect. Oh, are you Cypher? Should probably phone the Dark Angels. They love talking to outsiders.
The other thing as well, when you think about the Dark Angels and you think about how they say only the inner circle really knows about what happened to their Legion during the Heresy and about the great, trials they've been through since. When you look at somebody like Cypher, it's only the masters, the captains, the company leaders that are going to know if they're going to a planet to find someone or to find a fallen angel. The rest of them just think it's a standard mission. The rest of them think they're just going to liberate a planet.
That is, unless they're fighting on a front, not thinking about Cypher, and then Cypher appears on the sidelines, as he does.
Which he does.
See, the thing is, he gets a lot of blame for that, and like he may be doing some of that on purpose. But like, if you're like got a whole tide of orcs coming at you, and you're ready to fight them, and then you see something shining at the corner of your eye, and decide to veer off at the last minute and get eaten by orcs, it's not necessarily the thing over there's fault.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, and no one wants to stop and talk to him. But he does.
Well, he doesn't want to stop, and I don't think he wants to stop and talk to anyone else really as well.
But no,
as we'll see in this audiobook, he just kind of disappears.
He does his thing. So yeah, that's probably a fair segue into into Malediction.
Thank you.
So read by Sean Barrett, Rupert Degas, and Saul Ryken. No mention of Toby Longworth, but I still absolutely love it.
It is really. The heavy entertainment stuff can be hit or miss. I think that this is really good.
Definitely, the narration it's got a nice kind of serious gravitas to the ways.
Yes.
And the voice acting is great. It's nice to have an Irish voice. You don't often
nice,
get an Irish
voice. Nice mixture of accents here. You've got a Scotsman, an Irishman, and an Englishman. So there's a good joke in there somewhere as well, I'm sure.
An English, Irishman, and Scotsman walk into Nurgle's bar.
Oh Lord, the poor bastards.
Oh dear. So yes, we find ourselves on Procell 5 in the city of Amadis. There's a parade going. Oh, usual spoiler warning. We're going to talk about this because.
Oh yeah, we're going to ruin this for you.
There is a chance with us talking about Cypher that Cypher might show up.
Yes, he might just appear like next to me on the screen, and there's can't do much. Sorry.
Yeah, he does just pops up every now and then.
He stops by for a beer now and again.
So yeah, Malediction. Also, before we get into it, Malediction, we've got the cover up here.
Yes.
Stock photo Dark Angel.
Yes, this is becoming quite a thing with Games Workshop at times. They'll just use a stock picture. Thunder from Fenris is a good example of that. That was just a picture of the Space Wolf Codex zoomed in a bit.
Yep. But we've got a Dark Angel with this metal face and a biotic eye going on, and what looks like a Cadian Guard or PDF guide.
A standard, standard issue Imperial Guardsman, very much a GI Guardsman.
Yeah. So maybe this is T-Grain from the story, but maybe they just slapped a picture of it. Which is kind of a shame because it doesn't reflect the quality of the actual audio drama itself.
Yeah, no, that's very true. The descriptions and the voice acting, especially using different accents rather than having everyone standard English.
Right. Or even everyone received English. I am working on the word of the ship, but I still speak like the Queen. Don't always buy that.
Yeah.
I do like a rough guardsman. Whatever.
Guardsmen have to be rough.
Yeah.
It's only when they get to officer status suddenly the accents change.
That is true. As soon as you get promoted, you have to speak.
I think it's when you go from anywhere further up than sergeant. The sergeants are always the roughest and gruffest ones.
Yeah. This is very true. So we're on Amethyst. There's a 25 years since the liberation of Procell 5, and we've got lightnings flying through the sky. There's a really nice start actually, because you actually think there's a plane crash.
You think it's already battle at the start of it, the lightnings are coming in to dive bomb the populace, and no, it's actually just a parade.
It's all happy, and there's lots
Which is a very different start to an audiobook than usual.
It is indeed. Also, the music is good. It's interesting, but it really reminds me, with the marching and the sound, of Junon City from Final Fantasy VII, when you've got the soldier marching. It really is similar music.
Yeah.
So we got all the armor and stuff going through. They've got their pride and joy, Baneblade, which actually makes people faint in the crowd, which is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's so impressive. We have Colonel Regan Antigone, who's the sole survivor of the Procell first irregulars from during the conflict. There's a banquet for him. He's feeling this burning shame inside him. We don't know what about. Presumably about what happened during the liberation of Procell. And we have this big banquet. We've got a wonderful glance into the upper echelons of society, which is nice, and how
the over the top kind of aristocracy,
and just the hypocrisy and bullshit that goes with that.
Yeah, it's pomp and circumstance and absolute bullshit, and it's brilliant that that's put in there. It's very much this entire audiobook reminds me quite a lot of sort of World War I era fighting. Obviously fighting in the trench.
Yep.
The officer is half a kilometre away from where the guys are fighting in a tent by himself,
sipping sunset.
And these guys in the upper echelon society are sitting pretty with nice drinks and fancy clothes. They don't know what a real soldier is in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly. We got a Monitorum officer that doesn't know him, talking about how he knew him from growing up and making up his life story, which is crazy. You got an elderly commissar telling story of his sons and how brave they were, which is
they were not.
Yeah, awkward.
Yeah.
But that gives
us I think thinking about this is it really gets into the nitty gritty of being a guardsman.
Yeah.
The fact that it's claimed by the commissar that his son successfully defended munitions or fuel bomb?
Ammo dump, yeah.
But what actually happened is he saw the overwhelming force, locked himself in a room and shot himself in the head. And does mention explicitly the fact that when Regan got his son's gear back, they didn't even wash the shit out of it. And like that's the proper, just in deep things about being in the Imperial Guard. It's not honourable combat; it's brutal.
Yeah, and also I like that the detail of that. I can't quite tell if that is just oversight or if that is because he deserted his post, essentially.
I really feel like, especially they mentioned the corporal that actually led the defence was now paraplegic.
Yeah.
So I think it was more out of spite and a mark of dishonour.
And the other son was not a coward, but he was too stupid.
Pretty
He
thick.
ran out of a chimera without a helmet on, got himself shot in the head. But these guys are being eulogised by this commissar, and it's all getting a bit
so
much
brave, so noble.
for poor Regan. He gets pulled up, asked to give his thoughts, and luckily there's a distraction from the back of the room.
Which takes the form of a 8-foot tall green armoured killing machine.
Yep, Tigraine, Master Tigraine in the house, representing the Dark Angels. And this is a wonderful moment where everyone's bowing, and then Antigone realises he's not bowing, so his bad leg still gets him down. And then no, Tigraine's have none of that. Sword out, in the air. I'm going to chop your head off. No, I'm going to kneel before you. Oh, bit of tension. And basically, essentially, the Dark Angel joins the party and asks him to tell him the story of what happened.
In a very cute scene, using an ammo crate as a seat. Because he couldn't find anything that would actually support him.
An ammo crate draped with lovely cloth, I think you'll find.
Yes, of course. Again, oppression on society.
Just so crazy. He sat there at the head of the feast, and we have Antigone tell the story of him and his two fellow guardsmen, and how they were in the trenches fighting against Nurgle cultists and Nurgle marines. There's a wonderful moment of them. They're really running out of water because everything else, their canteens are dry. Everything else is infected with Nurgle's rot, which is always doing.
They do mention the fact they are stuck in a muddy trench, but the water they shouldn't drink. Rumour has it that someone killed some sort of animal out in the no man's land, took it back and ate it, and was effectively turned inside out by it.
I just love the idea of Nurglings bursting out of it. Aliens 3 kind of moment. And there's a wonderful moment then finding the dead body, rifling through it, finding some alcohol, or to wit, intoxicating, liquids of intoxicating or stupefying nature, which could throw off the aim of a guardsman, something like that, from the uplifting primer.
Yes.
And we see the glorious Commissar, who's always a friendly chap. Commissars, apart from Ibram Gaunt and a few others.
Ibram Gaunt and Kane, I think, are the only two nice Commissars that I know of.
Yeah, this is a proper starch Commissar. Not happy. Try
Is it a Commissar or a General, actually?
Is it
He's a General. It doesn't really matter for the story. He doesn't live that long anyway.
Decided to try to send them to a zoo.
Yes, that actually, again, I've heard of that happening before in cities that are under siege. They used to do that sort of thing.
I believe in France.
I think it was France, yeah.
They literally had like haute cuisine, but of the zoo.
Yes.
Which is just bonkers. If you're that desperate for supplies, maybe just go for something simple. If you need to get a zebra bit does not need to be with quail, or I don't know, you know what I mean? Anyway, they refuse to go and take stuff away from the civilians, so they're sent off into no man's land to discover the disposition of the enemy, which is serious.
Yes. They're mounting up artillery and even simple ballista and catapults at this point to attack the city.
The detail of that is awesome, and it's nice to see a Chaos force, especially a Nurgle force, looking somewhat like an armed force. They're not like there is obviously mutants and stuff going on.
The shifting cultists and mutants sort of just scrambling at you. These are a well-oiled kind of force, a guerrilla force basically.
Yeah, just slightly rusty.
They've still got the brains enough to use actual weaponry rather than running at you with a pointy stick and team arms.
But they also have the trebuchets and stuff, which is a nice sort of kind of
variety. It's a nice touch. It gives it a bit more of a jury big feel, like they just had to put together what they could.
And so shortly after that, they get back and they try and get themselves out, but there is no support coming. But
they mention that they need support to the box operator and try and get support in after they hear about the artillery. They're told pretty much no, along with no chance of resupply of food and water. And the general or commissar, whichever it was, decides it's a good idea to go out into no man's land and face off against the artillery.
Which doesn't go quite so well for him.
No. As we learn when his body is catapulted back into the trench in bits.
Indeed, there was one last attempt to get hold of people, and they get the reply, hold Astartes, which is always garbled, but if you hear the word Astartes, you're like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds
good enough for me.
So they have to essentially hold corpses, start raining from the sky, as you do. Has the desired effect. We have guardsmen very scared.
Yeah, we actually hear about guardsmen breaking down and crying and screaming and just in complete shock, which again is, when you look at a lot of these audio dramas, they focus obviously on Space Marines, a lot of them, and these are big, tough, hardened warriors with psychological, training, and they don't really, you could throw a corpse at a Space Marine and you just kind of wipe his visor and hit you.
Yeah.
These guys honestly feel it when they see their brother or their friend or someone they grew up with suddenly launched at them and mutilated and flayed.
I just like it's one of the I just like bad guys and the stuff they do because it's just so clever because it's horrible but it works. That's what I'm saying about Nurgle and throwing bodies at people. It's effective. It may not be right, but it is effective. But in good old Regan Antigone, the hero of the Imperium that he is, musters everyone, gets the wounded to help with the ammo packs, and sorts morale out, passes...
Gives them a complete perfect battle plan. Every able-bodied guardsman gets 2 lash rifles. Yep. Those who are unable to stand at the trench line reload the lash rifle and pass them the other one that's full.
And essentially,
until they run out of ammo.
3 and a couple of unnamed red shirts that are around.
I'm pretty sure there's... we'll say about 30 of them.
Yeah, but everyone else became sort of red shirts around them.
Yeah, they are very much unnamed red shirts.
Fight off the cultists as they come. Mutants come and they shoot them all in the face, and the day is lovely, other than a few people being injured and just about fainting in the arms of Tigraine as he appears.
Regan getting, I think it was a piece of femur through the leg.
Oh, that's a beautiful moment.
Yeah, I think actually that was during the catapulting corpses moment.
Yeah.
When it hits the ground, a piece of bone just flies out and gets him straight in the back of the leg, which is why he uses a cane now. Yeah,
but he's a bit annoyed about that, but the guy behind him whose face it just gone through is even more upset.
He rallies everyone and they have a fight to the last man. There's only 3 of them left. 2 of them pass out from exhaustion. Regan is thrown onto the ground and they begin flaying him alive.
Which is beautiful. I love that he's aware of that.
Yeah, he feels the knives actually dig into his flesh. I was like, oh.
He's face to face with the cultist just before this happens, and he's like trying to get his knife off him, stab him, and only when he moves his coat out of the way, he realises he's wearing human flesh.
Yeah,
which is nice.
And it's more than likely the flesh of one of the guardsmen they catapulted.
Yep. Recycle. That's what Nurgle is big on recycling.
Very efficient. And suddenly he thinks it's due to the loss of blood, everything goes quiet. There's gunshots, loud barking gunshots, and in fact the Angels of Death have arrived to save them, and Tigraine, as a sergeant at the time, with a jump pack carries them off to safety.
Happy days.
Yes.
We find ourselves back at the banquet with a 70-year-old drunk, very drunk on their own importance, and Amasek guy coming up. And I love the idea of an old, important person in the military going,
excuse me, old chap. He has to have that voice like, was it Blackadder goes forth?
Melchior.
He's one of those officers.
Yeah. But you imagine just him almost elbowing the space marine. Excuse me, old boy, can I borrow this chap for a little bit? You're kind of chewing his ear off.
Be a spot.
Oh, the space marine likes to respond by digging his elbows pretty much through the floor.
He's pretty much something like that, I believe. And all you can see is the wood splintering beneath his elbows with rage. Which is just a beautiful image.
Just a Dark Angel going, almost like Sideshow Bob with the rakes.
Yeah.
It'd be a big rake to do that to a Dark Angel. So off he goes, telling more stories and lies to other people, because the Dark Angel does let him go.
The stories become a bit different. You can't remember every fact he told the last person.
Getting more panicked and perspiring like myself. Yeah. Oh.
Finally, the Dark Angel vanishes. He thinks, alright, excellent, I'm out of here. Not before the Dark Angel reappears, stating that he was trained by veteran Sergeant the Man of the Dark Angels, which was an old special character, actually.
Oh, awesome.
He was the greatest scout ever, basically, until Kellyan came along, obviously.
Yeah. Which is, we could talk about how beautiful a moment that is, though.
Yes.
He's not like he's behind an alcove or under
the table. No, he
just
appears. He does a Raven Guard and just comes out of nowhere.
And 8-9 foot tall guy in a room full of people.
Says it's not difficult for me, for any of us to disappear in a crowded room. How?
But
I get this image of them like in just giant cardboard boxes, doing snake and just going around the place.
It's a beautiful moment, and then he demands to have the true story.
Yeah, he mentions the fact that how was it that you managed to hold them, that group of, or that wave of heretics off with simple lash rifles when we saw corpses with the wounds created by mass reactive shells and plasma.
Hang on.
And suddenly...
Bolt pistol rounds and plasma pistol rounds?
You don't say. It couldn't be.
No, surely.
But indeed, the story that Regan has kept quiet for 25 years at this point.
Yeah.
They tried to scramble out the trench as soon as those bodies finished dropping.
And they were seriously ready to go.
They were, but they actually run back to the city, I believe.
Yeah. They were ready for a war.
When suddenly a power armoured figure appears with a hooded cloak and rallies them together.
There's like a weird flash of orange and unnatural lightning in the sky. There's like a
Which I
suggests a
believe
warp storm or warp hop.
it's very much warp travel using, it must be.
And yeah, it just looks like a Dark Angel on their lip of the trench, which is nice.
Yes. The fact that one of the Regan in fact asks him, where's the rest of your chapter, are they coming? And Cypher just looks quite confused by the name chapter. He even mentions, my legion will not be coming, you just have me.
The Codex Astartes, it's on my to-read list. I haven't got to it yet. I'm halfway through the Grimoire of True Names. Is that alright? Hasn't quite caught up in his reading yet.
No. He's had 10,000 years, but he's been pretty busy, you know.
God knows how long it's been. He's been in the warp as well.
Well, less time in the warp. Maybe that's why it's just a stubble. Maybe he's only been in the warp for about 3 days. That's why the stubble's just appearing.
It's literally, yeah. Caliban blew up at noon and it's been 5 hours. It's literally 5 o'clock shadow.
Cypher leads them to the tactics that they used. 2 men, one loading, the other person holding 2 lash rifles, etc, etc. Fights his way over to the 3 remaining. You've got Regan, Tarek and Murtok, who is
very high-pitched Irish voice.
He's very... No, that was a high-pitched Scotsman.
Oh, was it Irish Scotsman? He said something was Irish.
That was an attempt at a high-pitched Scotsman.
Okay. He was Celtic.
Yes, Celtic, to say that. It's like the same exercise for the space. So some of them could be Scottish, it's a Celtic thing.
The Cypher is doing his thing. You've got to mention that. So Cypher is kicking ass and taking names.
Oh, he's laying out punches, just or hitting people with the butt of his pistol, breaking, just wrecking face. There's mentioned a couple of moments where he's talking to Regan when they're down to the last 3, Regan and his 2 comrades, and I'm pretty sure Cypher just elbows someone behind him and just mangles the guy. Like there's no second thought about it, he's still talking, he just kind of goes like that.
Just chatting away, doing this guy.
Yeah, he just caves in the guy's face. No second thought about it at all.
So yeah, down to the last 3 dudes.
Cypher suddenly looks up to the sky as if he's seen something, and then makes the point he has to leave. Suddenly, the battle's still raging. The 3 guardsmen are surrounded and fighting for their very lives, clubbing people with las guns.
Got a big mutant falling on top of them.
Yes, mutant falls on top. Massive mutant falls on top of Murtok and knocks him cold out. Tarek from exhaustion and massive blood because his part of his face comes off. There's a lovely mention that his skin was flapping, you could actually see the teeth behind his cheek.
Oh, that's beautiful.
There is some great imagery in this story actually, when I'm looking back on it. I think Cypher makes them...
Pinky promise.
Effectively, both of them take an oath never to tell the true story of what happened here. And as Cypher suddenly leaves to Crane arrives. Ooh.
Yeah, the moment literally moment, and then Antigone goes, oh, and falls into Tigraine's arms.
Effectively, yeah.
Who blasts off, because he's an assault marine, that's the other thing. Again, going back to the cover. That's not an assault marine. Like, it kind
That
of
is
looks
not an
like he
assault
has
marine, actually.
the assault symbol, but no, that's just a winged dagger, isn't it? That's not even
That would be the winged dagger of the Dark Angels, yeah.
Yeah, no, silly. Silly picture,
Yes.
great audio drama.
Very good audio drama.
So then we find us back in the room, and it's time for Tigraine to use his daddy voice. Some serious, you are a naughty boy, you consorted with Cypher under our noses and kept it secret. I'm going to introduce you to my friend, similar to one of
Mr. Bolt Pistol.
Mr. Bolt Pistol, similar to one of Cypher's friends. He's been kneeled out in the middle of everyone.
Yeah, after telling the story, it does mention the fact that Regan's actually broken down in tears. He knows what's going to happen to him, and he's ashamed that he kept the secret for that long.
Well, you see, he's trying to say that he didn't get quite as a bad infection as the other two guys who subsequently died of their injuries. He's going to be dying this year.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of survivor guilt from those two as well, actually. But yeah, he pleads for his life a bit, you know, the usual. Tigraine calls out to all of them to destroy all statues and monuments depicting this man, and really goes on a tirade about how he's consorted with the enemy and
no longer a hero of the Imperium.
yeah, he's a liar and a cheat, and to be honest, for the fact that he survived against such a huge force even with one Space Marine, he's a bit of a hero.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to shoot him in the face.
In the face. In front of everyone. I don't know if they'd even finished their aperitifs by this point.
So
It's going to put a bit of a spoiler out there.
Actually, that drunken officer, I'm imagining him now has like a monocle and a huge mustache. And he's like in the middle of a sherry at this point.
Oh, and so is the end of Regan Antigone.
That was the saga of Regan Antigone, poor bastard.
And there's just something about it. It's so different to so many other audio dramas out there.
I think it's just because it's got a more human feel to it. There's not as much about the honourable battle and the brave fight going on. These are human beings that are young men, are part of the irregulars, so they're not even a proper. They're conscripts. They're practically untrained militia.
Well, Tarek's literally a ganger, isn't he?
Yeah, Tarek is a ganger. It does mention he's heavily tattooed and has metal teeth. He's a complete ganger, and whatever he's done in his past life was probably pretty brutal. So he's one of the more experienced, but at the same time, even he says this is too much, and he wants to get out.
It's the detail for me that is one thing that really stands out. It's like we said, so many things that exist in their own little bubble. But you've got the Lightnings, you've got the Baneblade, you've got the Dark Angels, you've got Cypher, you've got the planet. The planet has its own feel. It's not just a generic city.
The planet, the city of
Amadus,
thank you, is actually a downed spaceship, an ancient, massive spaceship.
So we're talking one of the serious, like, Battlefield Gothic type things.
I think we're talking even pre-Battlefield Gothic. It's probably bigger than some of that stuff.
Wow.
Maybe a original colonial transport, a floating city, effectively.
Yeah. Which is the capital. This is amazing.
Yeah.
It became an instant capital city, and everyone, as everyone does in the Imperium, gets into their caste. With the people at the top.
They had people in the midships and the lower decks, and all of them had their own class, effectively.
And then possibly mutants at the bottom. I love the fact that it doesn't matter what planet you're on, when you get far enough down, everyone's playing Necromunda.
You get so far down and then suddenly everything's Necromunda.
Yeah, it's 40k Necromunda. It's just one of those things. But
it's 40k, then you get to the midsection, then you get Dark Heresy, then you get to the bottom, and then it's Necromunda and Deathwatch.
Yep. That sounds appropriate. But it's not just Battlefield Valor madness.
No, this is pretty painful, traumatizing war. very fragile psyches getting completely ruined by what's happening, like the bodies getting thrown by catapults. That ruined some of them.
Yeah. And in the second retelling, you see them even more wrecked by it. Because they kind of bolster themselves very quickly.
And his kind of more embellished telling of the story, they're all quite brave, and Regan drags the people off the trenches and forces them to get back into action, and they fight hard.
Whereas ripping each other off the wall, I think, trying to get up, not to try and stop them.
Yeah, it was actually, they were tearing each other off walls to try and get out the trench first in the actual truthful story.
Yeah.
These people were shell-shocked. And I think this really shows how war differs between the Imperial Guard and the Space Marines and some of the other forces out there, and the way they view it.
Because they have the thing of the Guard being real people and getting really genuinely scared about things that are messed up. Yeah. But at the same time, they're able to just about have this kind of conversation with a Dark Angel. Like, I know that he has a history with him, and he's hoping that they're on good terms.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, in some books and things, you put Space Marine here and Imperial Guard here, and the Imperial Guard just wets themselves and falls apart.
Yes, actually, I think it was Deathwolf had that. Some of the Imperial Guard that he was fighting with.
Yes, that is
pissed
Deathwolf.
themselves. I suppose a big Space Wolf might do that too.
He is a big Space Wolf, but the Imperial Guard and Deathwolf, I think, get a bit of a bad rep.
Yes, no, they were stereotypical, actually, almost.
Definitely.
You are the weak humans.
People have said, I think there's been fairly mixed reviews of CZ Dunn and stuff, but some of the stuff I've read and listened to has been good.
Yeah, no, this has been really good. I've really enjoyed this.
Definitely. It's one of the best audio dramas I've listened to. It's not necessarily the most detailed and the most sort of...
It gets the feel right, though. There's a couple of audio dramas I've always really liked, and it's the ones that maybe aren't the most descriptive or have the most solid story, but the ones that actually feel good as an audiobook and you really start getting sucked into the world of it, and this one does it really well.
Yeah, there's something original to it.
Yeah. The views of the Guardsmen and talking about the upper echelon society and how everything differs the further up the class system you get, it's got a much different feel than a lot of them, which are just battles.
Battles. Because Space Marine battles, some of them are great. Like, some of the Space Marine battles is just like, you wrote that for the sake of it.
Yeah, well, I can't say much. I mean, the stories I write are just for the sake of it.
Your stories are beautiful. People should read his stories, sonsoffenris.tumblr.com.
Yeah. You might enjoy them, you might not, let me know.
They are beautiful, and you will enjoy them. We've been rambling for a while. Is there anything you want to say about Malediction or Cypher?
I'd say, if you can get a copy of Malediction, really give it a go. It's a fantastic little audiobook. And as for Cypher, I hope we never find out what he actually is, but in my mind he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's just stuck with shitty circumstances.
I wouldn't mind the story either way, but there was some kind of preface that said, this is one story.
One telling of, aye.
But I have definitely been. I'm now watching them on eBay. I need him now. Sarah played Dark Angels. I need him to annoy her, and I kind of fallen a bit in love with the Stubble Fool. I'm just waiting for him to get the full beard.
Yes, you will end up with a full beard. You'll look like a space wolf eventually.
Indeed. So yeah.
Then he can disguise himself in 11 Fenris.
Yes, with some help from his Alpha Legion makeup kit.
As I actually come to think of it, he said he had worked with the Alpha Legion at one point.
Yeah, and then set the Dark Angels on them.
Yeah, he's the only man to fuck over the Alpha Legion.
That is Cypher. Yeah.
That's Cypher in a nutshell. You can fuck over the Alpha Legion.
The Alpha Legion.
That's something to be proud of.
And one last thing on Malediction, it's the hypocrisy of the Imperium it shows up, which
yes.
I think is amazing. Because Cypher is that thing, to show the hypocrisy. So he did good, and there's nothing really wrong with what... Like, if someone saves your life from being mangled to death...
He helped keep those people alive, but he knew if he stayed any longer he'd be hunted down and, before killed, brutally tortured.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm talking about Regan, though. Like, Regan didn't really do anything wrong. Like, if a guy saves your life, and you only know him as a good guy,
It's a life debt, really.
Yeah, it is a life debt.
You have saved my life. I don't see any problem with keeping your oath. I mean, you can tell it hurt him to do it.
Yeah.
There's a scene where I think near the start I actually talked about the single tear running down his face when he sees all the parade and everything going on. It's not because of the emotion or the loss of his friends. It's because they had to keep the secret for so long.
Yeah, the shame of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Imperium loves a good story and a good hurrah, and
Imperium
doesn't
loves a
really
good
care
story.
what the actual facts are.
Thomas Arcane's quite a good example of that.
A very good example of that. So I'm Darcebius, darcebius.com, Suboversource, TARDIS.tumblr, and plaguedreading.tumblr. You, blood hyphen of hyphen as a hyphen.
Of hyphen, yes.
.tumblr.
Hyphen.
And Sons of Fenris for the lovely stories. And AliceIndex.com for all the geeky gaming goodness. We'd love to hear from you. If there's any characters or audio dramas or things you'd like us to be talking about, we can try and have a go at that.
Quite excited to even see someone else jump in the show with us to talk about a character they like or anything like that.
Totally, it doesn't have to be audio dramas. Basically, the idea is having a decent chat about a character or a unit or something, because before trying to do a whole legion or chapter or race is quite a lot to try and get into one video.
The idea that Seb had for this and I loved was we're looking over characters that have been largely forgotten nowadays, or maybe they've just came back into the spotlight for a little while, like Doom Rider or Cypher, who was really only around previous to this in the Eye of Terror campaign book and vanished again.
So yeah, people like Slime Marbo might be an interesting one to talk about.
Yes, actually I'm surprised he got rid of Slime Marble. He was always that was back in the day of GW being very tongue-in-cheek with things.
But he's gone, isn't he?
As far as I know, aye.
So yeah, maybe we should try and resurrect Slime Marbo next time. That could be a good laugh. And sorry it's been a little while since we've done this. I've been a bit unwell, but we'll do these fairly regularly every couple of weeks or something. Keep these coming. So yeah, Alice Index and all the other things, and we will catch you soon. Thank you for
until next winter.
Tally bye.